So, check this out, people. I'm going to tell you guys a bedtime story, right? I'm chilling here in my small room that I rented for the night. I'm staying at this place called the Backpackers something. Backpackers, I don't know. But I'm here, right? And I'm chilling. This place is awesome. So anyway, this is my bedtime story, right? I'm going to tell you this story about a friend of mine, and this is why a lot of times you have to know who your friends are. A lot of the times we have friends who we think are friends, but in reality, they're really not, right? And so back in the U.S., in Connecticut, where I was living, after I moved to Meriden, Connecticut from New York, right, from the Bronx, I met new people, I met new friends, right? I had an old friend who was from the Bronx who helped me transition to Connecticut, right? And so I met a friend through him, right? And this friend was married, he had kids. He seemed really cool, you know, he was religious. He liked to work out every now and then. We would hook up and work out together, right? And he was really into his family, the way a man is supposed to be, right? And when you have a family, it's your responsibility to take care of your family, to be there and be able to provide, right? And if you go through difficulties and you're unable to, for whatever reason, and you have friends who are there for you, who are willing to help you when you need them, my advice to you is that you should hold on to those friends, because it's hard to have people in your life that you can rely on, depend on, and that they're actually there for you. So me, when I meet someone who's there for me, when I need something, I make sure I hold on to them for life, right? Perfect example, I have a friend back home in Connecticut in the same state as this other guy that I'm going to tell you about in a minute, right? And this friend that I have in Connecticut, we still communicate after 2 years of me living here in the Philippines. We call him Pops, right? And Pops is an old school guy from New York, right? Just like me. So we have that same personality and that same vibe, right? We understand loyalty, right? To family and friends. Now, in all the years that I knew this guy, I never asked him for anything, ever. Not to borrow a dime, not to borrow $10, nothing, right? And one day I found myself in a jam, right? I needed a car because I had just applied for a job that required me to drive for a living. I'm an independent contractor. And so my job was to deliver auto parts, right, to different locations. And so I worked 10, 11, 12 hours a day, and I needed a car. And my car broke down. I drove an SUV at the time. It broke down, the transmission went out. And so I was in a jam. And I called him. I never called this guy before, never asked him for anything. We hung out every now and then. He's a family man, just like the other guy I'm going to tell you about in a minute. And this guy, Pops, is loyal to his family, right? I've never seen him hanging out with women, with guys, nothing. He works and he goes home to his family, his wife and kids. And so I needed money and I didn't know who to go to. Now, remember, I've never asked this guy for anything. So out of the blue, I pick up the phone and I call him. He picks up. He says, "Hey, what's up, Tank?" I say, "Hey, Pops, how you doing?" He said, "I'm chilling, whatever. And I said, "Yo, I need a favor, man. I know I never asked you for anything, Pops, but, bro, I need $800. That's all I said. I said, "I need $800. I didn't even get to finish. He said, "I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Meet me downstairs." I lived on the 6th floor. He lived about 10 minutes away in the same town. I went downstairs and he was there waiting for me and simply handed me the $800. No questions asked. Just like that. I said, yo, I got you, man. I said, give me a month. As soon as I get myself together, I'll give you the money back. He's like, take your time. 1 week passed, a week passed, and I couldn't find a car, right? I just needed the $800 to get me started. I would have bought something small, something easy, something cheap, a hoopty, or put a down payment towards another car, a newer car, right? I didn't find anything. So I called him up. I said, yo, Pops, I got your money. He said, you bought the car? I said, no, man, I didn't buy the car because I can't find anything. So I just want to give you your money back. I didn't borrow this money to spend it. I didn't borrow this money for anything else. I simply borrowed it for a car. And because I can't find nothing, I want to give you your money back. Right? So I gave him the money back. He said, you don't have to do it. I said, yo, Pops, thanks. If I need it again, I'll call you. Another 2 weeks passed. I called him up. I said, yo, Pops, man, I need that money. It's like, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Just like he said, 10 minutes later, he shows up and he has that money for me. Within 3 days, I got a new car, right? I said, yo, give me to the end of the month. But if I could do it in 2 weeks, I'll have your money in 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, I called him up. I said, yo, Pops, I got your money. I met up with him in front of his house. I gave him his money. We hung out for about 5-10 minutes because he's a family man. He don't got time for nothing else. Gave him his money. Said, yo, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And I moved on. I went about my business. And even though we never hung out before, during, and after that, still today, and it's already been over 4 years because I've been here for 2 years. And this is when I was back home, right? Every week, at least once a week, I called him up or I would text him, hey, bro, how you doing? How's everything? To show that I appreciate him and that I want to have him around so that if I need something, I know I got friends like that. I'm not going to turn my back on people who were there for me and act like all of a sudden now that I don't need them, right? And that's the problem with people, is that we only deal with people when we need them. And then when we don't, we forget about them. And still to this day, every now and then I'll message him and be like, yo, Pop, how's everything? Just yesterday I messaged him. Just for no reason. And we never hung out. We ain't cool like that. We ain't boys like that, right? But these are people that I know I can count on, and they know they can count on me, right? And so now I'm going to go back to the other guy who's from the same town, who we hung out every now and then, who's a family man just like Pops, and who is dedicated to his wife and kids, right? Now, all of my friends are married with children of their own, with businesses of their own, or they work. I don't hang out with bums, right? I don't hang out with bums because I hang out with people who are like-minded. I want to hang out with people who have a goal so that can inspire me to have goals and to be better, do better, have more, and be more, right? And so this guy, this other guy, I'm not going to mention his name. Let's just call him Tom. I'm just going to call him Tom, right? So Tom, who I used to hang out with every now and then, who would call me, whenever he needed something, he would call or text and be like, hey, listen, I don't have any groceries for my family, right? Can you help me out? And I would ask him, how much do you need? He'd be like $75. I said, no problem, I got you. Come and get it. Come and pick it up. Or I'll meet you somewhere and I'll drop it off. No problem. Boom. Call me back a week later. Yo, Tank, I got your money. And I'd say, no problem. We good, right? Because he's taking care of family, right? And if I need someday, I hope that I have friends like that who got my back the same way I got their back, right? So I'd say, we're good. And he understood what I meant. We're good. You don't have to pay me back. You got to handle your business. You're taking care of family. I respect that, right? And every now and then, we'd hang out and we'd communicate. Now, one day, just like that time, he calls me. He says, yo, Tank, I don't have any money and I need groceries for my family. And I said to him, how much do you need? And he says, whatever, man, whatever you can spare, right? I said, is $150 okay? And he said, yeah. So I said, all right, let's meet up. We met up. I gave him $150. And after I gave him the $150, a week later he calls. He says, yo, Tank, I got your money. I said, yo, we good. We good because I know he's taking care of family, right? And I respect that. He's not asking for money to hang out, to go party, to hang out with girls, to do drugs. He's taking care of family. And I know that someday if I need, I hope that I can call on him in the same way. And that 150 and the 75 that I loaned him, that I didn't need back or want back, maybe someday if I need, I can ask him for $75 or $150. And if he got it, I'd gladly take it. If not, no biggie, right? So after I loaned him the 150 and he calls a week later and I said, we're good, I never heard from the guy again, ever. A year went by, 2 years went by, 3 years went by. He didn't call, he didn't text, he didn't message. He didn't say, yo, what's up? How's it going? Nothing, right? And then one day I ran into him on Facebook, right? I ran into his page. And so I messaged him or sent him a friend request. And I noticed that he ignored me or didn't respond to my message. So no biggie, I'm a big boy. Facebook doesn't determine my friends or validate me or anything else, right? I'm not 12, right? And so all that time went by, all that time passed, and one day I'm driving on the highway on I-95 heading home, and I hear a horn behind me on the side of me. I'm driving and he's alongside of me. He's beeping the horn, and when I look over, it's Tom, right? And he's teasing me. He's kind of joking around for me to pull over. So I wave at him. I turn my face and I keep driving. I get off the exit and he gets off the exit and follows me. I guess he thought I was going to pull over, and I didn't pull over. I just kept driving and I ignored him. I didn't bother stopping, right? Because 3 years had gone by. You got my number. You know how to reach me. You got money from me that I didn't want back, but damn, give me some courtesy, bro. Hold on to the people who are good to you. Say what's up every now and then, right? And when I kept driving, my phone starts to ring, and it's him. So all this time, for 3 years, he's had my phone number. He's had my phone number. He could have just texted the same way I text Pop, the same way Pop texts me, the same way John messages me and I message him back. No matter how much we go at it, we're like brothers, right? We still stay in touch because you need people in your life. You need good people in your life. You need people who are there when you need them, right? And then you turn your back on them when you don't need them because they're nobody to you, right? They're not your family. They're nobody, right? And the problem with people is that they focus on their family, but they forget about their other family who are not blood, right? But who are the people that when you need, they're there for you. And there's certain people in your life that you need to hold on to. You have to. You know, it's ridiculous that you're going to turn your back on people because you have a family. You can have a family, you can have your friends, especially those who are there for you, right? So my phone rings and it's him. And I ignored it. I thought to myself, bro, after 3 years, I don't hear from you. I don't see you. You don't respond to me. I said to you, you don't have to pay me the money back. And now that you don't need anything, you don't know nobody, right? So I ignored him. And then one day I'm in the supermarket at Stop and Shop, right? And I see his wife. And she sees me. I just turn around and I pretend I don't see anybody and I keep walking. And then he sees me. He calls me as I'm walking out. He calls for me. I pretend and I keep walking. Finally, I turn around. And he could sense something, right? Because I'm one of those people who I can't hide my feelings. I cannot hide my disdain towards someone. If I don't like you, you're going to know it. I can't pretend. And he could see it, right? That I had a problem with him. But I didn't say nothing. We talked for a bit. I simply said, all right, peace. Walked away. And then I got into my car and I drove off. And then a year later, believe it or not, about another year later, this freaking guy got the nerve to call me, right? And he says like this. He says, yo, Tank, I'm moving to Florida, right? Now, when he said I'm moving to Florida, I thought he was going to say something like this. I thought he was going to say, I'm moving to Florida and I just wanted to call and say goodbye and say, you know, I appreciate you. I appreciate your friendship, your help when I needed help and whatever, right? Instead, this is what the guy says. After some 3.5 or 4 years, he says like this, yo, Tank, the very first thing he says is this: I need a favor. I know you like to drive, and I'm moving to Florida, and since I'm moving to Florida, I have a dog, and it's going to cost me a lot to bring the dog on the flight. So I wanted to know if you'd be willing to drive to Florida with the dog. Bro, talk about me being pissed. This freaking guy didn't even say, I'm leaving. I called to say goodbye. I appreciate you. No, I need a favor. Right? And so I was really annoyed, but I thought about it. I said, you know what? If he's going to pay for the gas, and I really enjoy traveling, I travel all the time, then this will be a free trip to Florida for me, right? So I said, you know what? All right, I'll do it. I'll take your dog to Florida as long as you cover the gas. We left it at that. The next day, now I'm already annoyed. I don't like this guy. I'm already having bad feelings towards him, but I'm trying to be cool. The next day, after I agreed to take the dog to Florida on a 24-hour trip, right? Drive on top of that. He calls me the next day. He says, yo, Tank, can you come to the house and stay with the dog so the dog can get used to you? Bro, talk about me getting pissed off. Talk about me being like, bro, you got some freaking nerve, bro. Now, I was so angry. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything because if I had said something, I would have came off the wrong way. Anyone who knows me knows that I don't hold back, especially if I have a problem with somebody, right? So I had to control myself. And I thought to myself, bro, this freaking guy got a lot of nerve. First, I don't hear from him. The last time we were cool, I gave him $150 for groceries for his family, and I never heard from him. And now I hear from him yesterday. He wants me to drive his dog to Florida as a favor, and now he wants me to go to his house and sit with his dog so the dog can get to know me before I take the dog to Florida. Needless to say, after we hung up, I never contacted him. I never messaged him. I never responded to any of his messages after that. He messaged me. He called, and I simply ignored him because when he needed me, I was there. When I didn't need him, because I didn't need him, I've never asked him for money, right? When he needed me, I was there. And then when he didn't need anybody, hey, nobody mattered except for his family, right? And now he needs me again. And so even though I had agreed, the fact that he had the nerve to call me the next day and ask for another favor and ask me to sit with his dog, to go to his house, instead of him saying, yo, you mind if I come over and bring the dog with me so that you can see the dog and the dog can get to know you? No, can you come to my house and sit with the dog? Now you're asking for too much, right? Now you're overdoing it. I was already pissed. And these are the kind of friends that you don't need. Unfortunately, you don't know that these are the kind of friends you have until you get to know them, right? Until you find yourself in the same position that I found myself in. When he needed me, I was there. When he didn't need me, he wasn't there, right? And so this is a bedtime story that I wanted to tell you guys so that you could understand how life is, how people are. And this is why I ride alone. This is why I roll by myself, because I can depend on myself. I can rely on myself. But friends like that, you can't rely on. You can't depend on. There are friends that I have, like Pops and John, who I can rely on. But those are family men. I'm not a family man. I don't have a family. And so I don't interfere with their life. I don't bother them. I don't want to be a stumbling block to them because they have families. And so I do what I do by myself, for myself. But every now and then, I communicate with them. I stay in touch with them because I know someday I'm going to need them. And I'm going to be grateful and thankful that they're there. Because there's certain people that you don't need, but there's certain people that you do need. And friends like Pop and friends like John are people that I need. So if you have friends like this, like the ones I have, who, when you need something, you can pick up the phone and simply ask for it, and then they are there to give it to you without any questions. And then there might be other friends who are only there when they need something. But those friends you can easily let go of. But those friends who are there, make sure you always, always keep them close. You know the old saying, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Keep your enemies close, but keep your friends closer. That's my bedtime story, people. Have a good day and have a good night.